So, is it possible that I'm in love with Joe and Nate? Because if it's possible, I definitely am. Hey guys, so I'm back again. Nobody asked for my opinion, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. It is episode 5. Season 18, Michelle's season of The Bachelorette. I can't believe we're already halfway through. So again, we get 2 one-on-ones and a group date. So, well, first of all, last episode, Michelle announces they're switching it up. They're going from California to Minnesota. So all the guys are super excited, which I've never seen anyone excited about Minnesota except for maybe Rose on Golden Girls. But all the guys are super excited because I think they know how important Minnesota is to Michelle. So they want to show their excitement because, it'll keep them on her good side. So, the guys, they get packed up, they hop on a plane, and they land in Minnesota. And we see Michelle, she's talking to her parents. I love Michelle's parents. They seem so sweet, so nice, such darlings. So she's talking to them, saying it's been really hard being so far away from them, and that, they ground her. So she's really excited to be home. And that she thinks that she's got a good group of guys, and her husband might be in this group. And so I love that her dad was like, well, I'm just concerned about someone who's going to focus on you and make you their number one priority. Okay, Dad, you better preach. Okay. So then Michelle meets up with the guys, and she's like, so I'm going on a one-on-one today, and it starts now. And she chooses Joe. Finally, Joe gets a one-on-one. We knew it was coming. They have way too much chemistry and way too deep of a connection for him not to get a one-on-one. So the dudes were salty. They were sick that Joe gets, if you don't know, Joe is from Minnesota as well. You have to know if you're watching The Bachelorette. And so the dudes were kind of salty and a little bit sick that Michelle chose Joe for the first date in Minnesota. I think they know, these dates in Minnesota are important. They are very telling. And as you can see, who gets the one-on-ones this episode, it's very telling. Michelle is telling on herself right now. So Joe gets the first one-on-one, and there was a debate. People were saying he's from Minnesota. Why would you choose him for a Minnesota date? And I get it. I feel like Minnesota is a huge part of Joe and Michelle's connection. And what they end up doing on the date is they go to the Minnesota Twins game, and she throws out the first pitch. Now, I said this myself because other people were saying, I was listening to some podcasts why would you choose him? He's from Minnesota. Do you really get anything out of it? 1, deeper connection. 2, like I said, if the season was airing in Boston, I'm from Boston. So say for whatever reason, The Bachelor's from Boston, I end up casted, we fly back to Boston. I would be so sick if they did something throw out the first pitch at a Red Sox game, or go to a Patriots game, or sit courtside at a Celtics game, and I don't get picked. You know how sick I would be? I would be so upset. So I get why Michelle chose Joe, because 1, it would mean a lot to him. He's from Minnesota. He's probably a Twins fan. He's a sports fan. So she knows, if I don't take him on this date, she would probably feel bad. And also she knows, he would be very, appreciative of it. And he would probably get more out of it than any of the other guys. They'd be just oh, this is cool. Where Joe is this is an experience for him. This is maybe living a lifelong dream, something he may have thought never would have happened, but could have possibly been something he wanted. Anyway, I'm going on a rant. So they throw out the first pitch. Then they go to Michelle's high school. And for whatever reason, she remembers exactly where her locker is. I could tell you the area my locker was in, because there wasn't a big area of we had learning communities at my school. My learning community, there was only certain space we were in. So I know, the area my locker was in. I couldn't point you the exact locker. So they go, Michelle walks them through the high school, shows them her locker. They do a little makeout session in front of their locker, which I can guarantee you, Michelle knew who Joe was in high school. She would probably daydreamed about making out with Joe in the halls of that high school. I guarantee it. I would bet money. Anyway, they go to the gym. They play a little one-on-one Love and Basketball Part 2. And, then they sit and they talk. They have a really good conversation. She was just like, you're so quiet. You're so reserved. But then she said he reminded her of her dad. And I was like, stop the record. For me, I was like, that's a little weird, cringy. But, they do say like women kind of do that. They pick people like their fathers, but to say it out loud is a little weird. Anyway, move past it. She was just like, you're so quiet, you're so reserved. Have you always been that way? And Joe was kind of like, yeah, this is exactly, I've always been this way. My dad's the exact same way. And Michelle was like, well, that's kind of cool because like I could be really like just fiery and full of emotion. So it's like a balance. So that was good conversation. And then we moved to the night portion of the day. I really liked the night portion of the date. So they have a conversation, basically trigger warning. Joe talks about depression. He talks about anxiety. He talks about suicide. And it comes with being an athlete, right? He was saying like, he broke his fifth metatarsal, which for people who don't know what metatarsal is, it's your foot. It's like the outside of your foot. So he broke it, I believe in high school, and he got it fixed, like surgically fixed it, put a screw in it. Surgeon put a screw that was too big. So he ended up fracturing his whole foot, I believe. And so had to go back in, surgically fix that, had to do extensive rehab. And he just didn't feel the same when he got back on the court. And, he was saying like when he lost basketball, he kind of lost his identity, which I can very much relate to. I think a lot of athletes can very much relate to when you stop playing your sport, you kind of go through a little bit of an identity crisis. You're like, you get a bunch of extra free time that you did not have before. Like Joe was saying, he lost a lot of time to rehabbing, to practices, to games. So when you stop playing, you have all this time back, you're like, what else am I doing with my time? I literally have nothing else to do, like no other friends besides who were my teammates. So I really could relate to this conversation. A lot of people on Twitter are like, this is stupid. He's crying over basketball. Y'all suck. Anyway, because y'all suck. Anyway, I was like, y'all clearly were never athletes and it shows, or high level athletes and it shows. Because, on these dates, kind of weird. Everyone talks about their trauma and everyone's like, Joe's trauma is losing basketball or getting injured and not being able to play basketball. Anyway, so he talks about, he lost basketball. He had an identity crisis. He went through a lot of anxiety, because of that, depression because of that, suicide because of that. He just didn't know who he was. And Michelle being an athlete too, who no longer plays, I know she could relate to that as well. Because whether you stop playing your sport due to injury or just because your time is up, you still go through that identity crisis. So they go on a Ferris wheel, they make out. Michelle says to Joe that he feels like they were basically what she was saying is they're like souls that have been living the same life, but they just hadn't met each other yet. And now that they finally met, she feels like she kind of met her soulmate. She didn't say that exactly, but she said something along those lines. And I was like, we have one of our top two right here, sitting right here. I mean, we kind of guessed before, but her saying that kind of solidified, this is one of her top two. Possibly her husband. And if not, I would like a word. I'll marry Joe. I'll marry Joe tomorrow. So then we go back to the house, the new house that all the guys are at. and they're all kind of like anxious and nervous because the group date is next, but nobody wants to hear their name because they want the next one-on-one. So, you know, Chris S, delusional, entitled, behind, thinks he's getting the one-on-one because he was the house snitch. The house snitch never gets rewarded. The house snitch always goes home not too long after they've snitched. If you don't watch the show, Chris S. Just so much just white male entitlement oozing off of him in every statement he's saying, like, oh, she's gonna reward me, she's gonna do this. Goodbye, sir. So they name who is on the group date, and Nate gets mad amped because Nate's name is not on the group date. So it's Olu, Chris S, Brandon, Rick, Clayton. Dang, who else was on this date? There's 3 other people I'm missing. Oh, Rodney. How can I forget Rodney? Casey. I'm missing somebody. I don't know. I can't remember. But that's 7 out of the 8. And so they go to the Vikings Stadium, the Minnesota Vikings, their football team. And they kind of lead the men on. Like, they think, like, maybe, like, some Vikings players are going to, like, run out of the tunnel. And actual men dressed as, like, Vikings from whatever time it was. 1300s, 1400s, 1500s. I don't know. History is not my strong suit. They come out of the tunnel. And so basically it's a bunch of like old fashioned challenges on this group date. Chris S is being weird because he's pissed that not only did he not get a one-on-one, but Nate, the man he snitched on, is insecure about, gets the one-on-one. He's kept saying stupid stuff like, oh, my cries have been falling on deaf ear and she's being blind. Just stupid stuff and being a whiny little boy. So they go through a bunch of challenges. They have the Viking cry challenge. They have they eat something. They go get costumes. First of all, Chris S is dressed as a horse's behind, which is telling. They eat weird something. They ate like a tongue or something. I don't know. It was nasty. And fish, it was nasty. Looked nasty. And based on their faces, it tasted nasty. And they did an arm wrestling challenge. They did a log throwing. So yeah, basically Clayton wins Chris S, who's pouting the whole day, I think he wins the log throwing. I think Clayton got like best Viking cry. I don't know. He might have won I don't know. This was supposed to be Clayton's breakout episode. I still didn't see anything that would make him be the next Bachelor worthy. So I'm assuming the next episode. This was like the build up. Anyway. So we moved to the night portion of the day. Chris S is still... Oh, Martin. Martin was the 8th person. We'll get to Martin. So we get to the night portion of the day. Chris S is still being a whiny little baby. Michelle, she talks to Brandon first. She brings him little Swedish fish, and then she kisses him because she kissed him after he ate the raw fish earlier. And she was like, oh, this tastes nasty. Who else did she do something cute for? She did something cute for someone else too. I can't remember. Anyway, so she meets with one of the guys. She basically has one-on-one time with all the guys except Chris S. And Clayton, she talks to Clayton. She talks about his family. I guess he has a similar family to Michelle's. His parents are still together. They're really happy. They love each other. Whatever. They're trying to make Clayton happen. It's not going to happen. His season's going to be very low rated. Anyway, low ratings for Clayton's season because nobody's interested. And he's not interesting. So everyone gets a chance to talk to Michelle except Chris S. And then Michelle was like, all right, date's over. And Chris S is like, I can't believe I've been acting weird all day. She didn't pull me. Sir, are you the lead, or are you a contestant on the show? Why would she pull you? Manifesting from the couch, as Jen from the Bachelorettes would say. So she ends the date, and Clayton gets the group date rose for whatever reason. And while the group date is happening, we go back to the compound. Obviously, it's only Joe and Nate there. So the card comes, and Joe is reading the card to Nate, which Nate and Joe together, I was just like, let's all be a happy family. Like, could we run away together? Me, Nate, and Joe. Anyway, so Nate gets really super excited. He gets the one-on-one. I forget what the date card said. Something about being on the water. So then we get to Nate's date, and they're at Lake Minnetonka. I don't know if I said that right. And so they're doing something in a boat, and it's cute. Nate's in his little orange shorts. They're so cute. And Michelle mentions about, like, if he throws her off the boat, he will be going home. So they're being cute together or whatever. And so they have their cute little time. And then Michelle's like, actually, this is going to be a group date, which Nate takes very well. He didn't like flip out. He didn't get mad. He didn't get an attitude. He was just like, okay. And then Michelle's two best friends come. And obviously these are producer planet questions, but they come, they try to grill Nate. Nate handles it like a champ. He's talking about, not questioning Michelle's judgment. I think the girl asked, like, is everyone here for the right reasons? And Nate was just like, yeah, like, not to he didn't throw anyone under the bus. And he just was like, and if they weren't, Michelle would be able to sniff them out. Like, she has great judgment. I was like, yes, babe. You are answering these questions lovely. So, he mentions like him and Chris S. got into a little bit of drama, and he's able to explain his whole, like, not if the one-on-one's coming, not when the one-on-one's, not if the one-on-one's coming, it's when the one-on-one comes, whatever he said. He was able to explain himself, which now Chris S. is definitely going home, since Nate was able to explain what he actually meant when he said that. And it looks like Nate passes the best friend test. They really like him. And then we go to the night portion of the date, which was really cute. They're in this, I don't know if it's like a hotel. They were somewhere. It was really cute. They show up in matching outfits. Michelle has like a white button-down dress, and Nate actually has a white button-down on. And they just have really good conversation. Michelle was like, what do you need in a relationship? Not what do you want? What are you looking for? What do you need? And like he said, like, I don't want to be serious all the time. Like, I want to be able to like have fun and be a kid. Like, I'm a big kid. And in his last relationship, he felt like, his ex didn't like that. She wanted him to be serious all the time. And they're just having this really good conversation. And it's intercut with freaking things of Chris S. talking about, I can't believe this, she didn't do this, she didn't do that, just bitching about Michelle again. And then we see him getting into a van. So I'm like, I know they're not driving this man to go ruin their date. I just know production is not doing this. And yes, they did. They drove Chris S. to where Michelle and Nate are, and he interrupted their date. I don't know why Chris S. thought he would fare well doing this, especially since Nate is clearly a front runner. But yes, as he's walking up, you can see Michelle's like eyes. She's like, what the hell? And then Nate is like, what the hell? So, he lets him, he doesn't put up a fight, even though I was like, Nate, tell him no, you will not be running my date. But I think that's what production wanted. So I'm glad Nate didn't do that. So Chris S. and Michelle go talk. He's like, I feel really insecure doing this, being here. I told you about Nate and you didn't listen. He got the one-on-one. I didn't get to spend any time with you. I didn't get to talk to you. Blah, 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 blah. We don't care. I love that Michelle put that man in his place. He was like, listen, she was like, listen, I don't want a man to speak for me. I can speak for myself. And that's basically what you did. And she was like, I don't see this progressing. Let me walk you out. Our Queen Michelle. Let me walk you out. Yes, send the white entitled man home, please. So she walks Chris S out, and then she goes back to her date with Nate. And Nate, I like how Nate's not like, what happened? He's just like, I don't know what happened. I'm not going to ask. Don't want to know. I know that was hard for you, but like, let's get back to our date. And then they go make out on the terrace, and there are fireworks. And these are our top two. I promise you, when it comes down to it, our top two will be Joe and Nate. And I don't know how Michelle is going to choose between either of them. So we go back to our house. We go to the cocktail ceremony. We go to cocktail ceremony. Rodney is sweating bullets. I'm sweating bullets for Rodney. I'm sweating bullets for Olu. I'm sweating bullets for Leroy. Michelle, besides Chris S. and Martin, Michelle had a really good group of guys. Like, I was like, I don't know how she's going to pick. Except for I was like, Chris S. and Martin can go. But the other 9, I was like, how are you going to choose? So my man Rodney, he was sweating bullets. He's just like, I don't know. Olu was sweating bullets. He's just like, I don't know. I felt I was sweating bullets too for all of them because I really like this group of guys. So her and Rick go walking down the street. They go dancing. You know, Rick says he really likes Minnesota. It reminds him of home. He wouldn't mind moving there. Her and Rodney, they go up on a rooftop to this beautiful view. Who else did she spend time with? I'm just trying to remember. I can't remember who else she spent time with, but those are the two that stuck out in my mind. And then, so Martin, she's having one-on-one time with Martin, and he says something dumb yet again. Like, I feel like this is like the 3rd or 4th time. Like, red flag, Michelle, send that man home. He talks about women being high maintenance. Mind you, he has bleached, spiked hair, and he's talking about women being high maintenance. Anyway, so he's sweating bullets because he's said something stupid. Now he thinks he's gonna go home because he doesn't have a chance to explain himself. But my thing is, why does every time you say something you have to explain yourself to Michelle? Anyway, so we get to the rose ceremony, and unfortunately my boy Leroy gets sent home. And then Casey gets sent home, which I didn't really see much screen time with Casey and Michelle. So I don't think, he made it to top 11. So he must have had some type of connection with her. But I figured he was going home. I figured Leroy was going home. I thought Martin was going home. Clearly he wasn't. So, and then there were 8. So there's Rodney. I'm rooting for Rodney. Rick. I'm rooting for Rick. Nate, Joe, I'm rooting for them. I'm pretty sure they're going to be top 2. Brandon, who I think is going to be a top 3. I just think that him being a year younger than Michelle, it was Brandon's birthday too. She brought him a cake. I remember that one time now. I think Brandon is a year younger than Michelle. I think that's going to play into her eliminating him when he makes the top 3. Olu, I'm so glad. I did not know if he was going to make 8 or not. He holding it down for our dark-skinned brothers. He is the last one. Who else is there? Martin, unfortunately. And who was the last one? I can't remember. Anyway, and then there were 8. So Martin was definitely saved by production. Like I said, he's only made it this far through production. I don't think Michelle actually likes him. And Michelle is I feel like she notices red flags. And like I said, the alarm is sounding, the red flags are popping up, but she keeps getting roses. It has to be production at this point. But yes, hopefully Martin goes home next week. And we do see a mid-season trailer And one of the guy's dads goes, he's not ready for marriage and I don't want him to hurt himself or you. I'm like, please don't be Nate's dad, because I don't want my heart to be broken. But also don't be Joe's dad. I don't want my heart to be broken. So yeah, there we go. Those are my thoughts, opinions on episode 5. It's been a good season so far. I can't wait to get to episode 10 to see how Michelle picks between Joe and Nate, because I wouldn't be able to pick. But yeah, so bye guys.